Europeans into a New Europe.
The podcast about inspiring projects
all over Europe with Jana,
Jose,
Paula,
Roxana.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the 7th episode of our podcast. Today I'm here with Graham Pope and with this great project. Actually, he's directing a bit the project, which is called BikeSurf, which is about renting a bike, but not in the normal way you're maybe used to it in different cities. So that's why I'm very happy to be here with Graham, and he will tell us a bit more about this very interesting project. So welcome, Graham, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So roughly about the project, how would you describe it maybe in 1 or 2 sentences?
So the project is about the sharing economy rather than a business model. And people can borrow a bike from us without a deposit and without having to pay for it.
Okay, that sounds great. And where are you located? Where's the project happening?
So originally, this project was set up in Berlin in June 2012, about 10 years ago. But since then, for the last 5 years, it's branched out into, I think, 8 other cities.
Okay.
Which are all independent of us.
Okay.
So we are still the biggest in Berlin because we've just had the head start. But actually the other cities are, as I said, independent and have a few bikes, and you can borrow them in, as I said, in the whole network. We are 9 cities, I think.
Okay. And for example, can you name some of those cities?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Paris, Milan, Swansea, I think Darmstadt is still there. Yes, so throughout Europe, only in Europe at the moment.
Okay, well, but that's already very big also in different countries, which is amazing. And how does it work exactly? So you said, well, I don't know, do you pay something for the bike? Because you said it's about shared economy.
So what we encourage people to do is to pay what they can. So some people mightn't be able to pay anything, and some people might be able to pay maybe €2, €3 a day. And if some people can pay and some people don't pay, then basically everyone gets a bike, and even €2 a day or €3 a day is much cheaper than other bike rental companies here in Berlin or in other cities. So it's about maybe half to a third of the cost.
Okay, interesting. And who owns the bicycle then? So
what we do, our model is we receive bikes from the public and we repair them. If they're suitable, we repair them, get them running. Buy locks, buy lights, buy anything that we need. Usually we try and source parts secondhand if possible to be environmental. And then once we have it all set up, we take a photo of the bike, and then we put it at a certain location, and then we put it on the system, and then people can book the bikes using our fancy booking system online.
Okay, I see. So actually, when I want to rent a bike, I just need to go to the website or to the app. I don't know. You have an app as well, or?
We have made the website so that it's functional. Actually, it looks also quite pretty on the mobile phone. We don't have an app because we were told that would make life very complicated indeed. So we have a nice website, which, as I said, functions very well on a tablet or on a mobile phone.
That's even better, because I know the problem on my mobile phone. I never have enough storage. So it's good that also you have a website which works well on the mobile phone then. And then I just go on the website and search for the bicycle, whether it's available.
So yeah, you can go to the website. Anyone can go to the website, see if there's any bikes available for the times you want in any of the cities. If there is a bike available, then what we ask people to do is to make a profile. So that we know who we're giving it to. They have information about the bike. So they make an account with some very basic details. And then you book the bike, and then you get confirmation usually within like a few hours, but it can be up to 24 hours. about where the bike is, the combination number of the bikes.
Okay.
So you can collect the bikes at that address with the combination numbers. And then you just arrive, and right away the bike. I do like to meet the people, but it's not essential.
Okay.
So if I'm busy, we have a combination lock so that it's convenient for both us as the bike givers and for the bike surfers, which is what we call the users. And then maybe they meet when we come back. And at any time, they can. Some of the bikes we do ask, if at all possible, to donate €2 a day, and some of the bikes are zero. But as I said, if people explain that they're in really hard times and whatever or they want to do something else for the project, like maybe translate it, or they want to do a video log or something like this on the project, we accept that as payment as well. So we do encourage people to contribute, but do it as you can. And if you can't, that's fine. We'll probably put you on a bike anyway.
That's very lovely, because I know it from myself. I think I never rented a bike in the city because it was always too expensive, like money-wise. I don't know where you have to pay €15 per day, or even sometimes you have to pay per kilometer, which is a bit, not that nice, I think. So it's super nice to hear actually that it works also without necessarily giving money, which is a nice idea, I think.
It is. It's like we do need a little bit of money. I gotta be honest. But like if we're receiving, we estimate about €1 or €1.50 per bike per day, which is very little because we're volunteers. Then we can continue running the project, because we do have costs.
Yeah,
like we do have some new parts. We do have the website, which we invested money in. We do have hosting costs what we do also, which is somewhat unique, I guess, is we post all the expense figures we have on our website.
Oh, okay.
So people can see every single time we buy a brake cable, for example. So they see, oh, wow, that's how cheap they're doing it. It's amazing. And we don't have anything to hide. We're not we're not hiding money. We're not doing anything. So we try and be as open to investigation by the community if they do have any doubts, or if they're curious about what we're doing. One other thing, it's not only about cheapness. We're trying not to be the Ryanair. We're actually trying to make community. And the other thing we're trying to do is there are other options to get a bike reasonably cheap from a Lidl bike or from some other big firm. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide an alternative, and we're trying to put people on bikes which like have a unique character. So our bikes might be sometimes 10, 15 years old, but the thing is they're repaired with loving kindness. They work really well. They're kind of basic, but they all have a backstory. There's a reason that they're in the project. They have a personality, they have a story. So, and my connection with bikes is, okay, a bike can get you from A to B, or a bike can be a story. And for me, bike being a story is so much better. So you hear about, you read the story about the bike, it connects to you somehow, it's the right size, and then you go with the bike, and it's like, and then we have people coming a year later going, why is Black Beauty not here anymore? So then it means like, oh wow, people really connected to the bike. And so you can, it's more than just a tool. And we're also feeds into our environmental principles of actually using these older bikes instead of what some reports have said, that some of these Lidl bikes, some of these cheaper bikes, they get trashed quite easily, and you just buy new ones from China every year. Yeah, and it's so contrary to the principle of BikeSurf.
It is. That's really nice. Also, I think, given the fact that you not want to make profit out of it. Of course, you need money, but I think just the fact that your bikes have name, which is amazing. I think this already makes it very, nice to go to the organization, maybe participate, maybe volunteer, but also then rent a bike, which is nice. Well, it's the 10th year you're doing this, so happy anniversary, I would say. But do you remember how it was? How did you feel when it all started? So maybe how did the idea come up in the first place?
So I moved to Berlin in 2011, in summer 2011, and I'm from Dublin, Ireland, and it was a strange feeling not having a bicycle in such a big city. because I'm used to having a bike, and that's as my primary mode of transport in Dublin. And then in Berlin, where the infrastructure is even better, I felt like for the first few days I was here, I didn't have a bike. I felt like limited, extremely limited. And I also have a bicycle mechanic experience from Ireland. And I said, all I need is some tools. I can repair any bike. And so I still had this feeling that I was so limited and I wanted to explore, but I couldn't. So anyway, I resolved this within about 4 days. I got a bike. But it stayed with me, this feeling that, hey, there's all these bikes around Berlin and maybe people aren't using them all the time. Wouldn't it be great to have a central pool where somebody can use a bike for situations like mine, for a week when my bike was stolen or I'm new here or something like that. And that stayed with me. And then 1 year later, I met a friend and it was called Pau. And he said, well, if you can do the bike mechanic side of things and the organization side of things, maybe we can make a rudimentary booking system using Google calendars and Google forms and stuff like this. And I said, okay, let's try it out with 2 bikes. And from there, it was like, woo, we thought maybe because we don't ask for a deposit, we just kind of do it based 100% on trusting the person. We thought, oh, okay, this experiment mightn't last very long. It might last a couple of months if we're lucky, but at least we're going to try. Do something like giving back to the community. And actually the opposite happened. People started giving us bikes. People started to go, can we help with social media? Can we be part of your team? It sounds so good. And a lot of people who became part of the team had used the bike, loved the idea, and then said, we want to help. So we knew we were doing something right, but I also realized, oh no, this is going to eat up a lot of years and not just a month or 2.
That's so cool. I mean, sometimes, it works well against your expectations, which is then even better.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. As I said, that kind of seems like a good idea will continue and will be sustainable. You might have to push it sometimes, but a good idea is a good idea, and people respond very favorably.
That's so cool. And do you also remember what are kind of the difficulties within the project? I mean, now within those 10 years, we heard how it was at the beginning, but of course, there are always some obstacles to overcome. And could you give us some examples for them?
I would say the primary difficulty is trying to keep an engaged and enthusiastic team. Because first of all, if you don't do it as part of a team or with a few people, then it can be a lonely experience and you can feel less motivated. So especially during maybe COVID times, this was hard to keep going. I think this is quite difficult because I'm also trying to encourage people, like everybody is doing this for free. So it's a volunteer team, and there's 1,000 other things that are more fun and not more fun and exciting, but are 1,000 different things to do in Berlin. And so you have to keep it alive. You have to keep the idea really interesting for people. You have to, for the teammates, you have to give them a sense of empowerment without overstressing them. Very difficult, very difficult. And I'm part of some other bicycle projects and some other projects here in Berlin, and that's always something that's a struggle. More basic thing, actually, in that regard, I'm getting maybe a little bit better. And other things were financial, because again, like other sharing economies that I've worked with in Berlin, it's the people who do it are so nice and kind-hearted, and they'll donate all their hours, and maybe even they'll donate a lot of euros from their pockets. So a lot of people try and keep these things alive and somehow don't find a balance of fundraising, like in order to keep their dream alive. Or for us, it was really difficult because we wanted to put everyone on a bike regardless. So we, at the very start, we said, like, hey, pay what you want. And that's what we still do, but we're a little bit more firm with it, I guess, these days. Because when we said pay what you want, what happened was maybe 20 to 25% of people paid anything. So and so we had to get the language right. We had to be firm that, hey, we do want this project to be alive, and we're happy to donate our hours, but we're not happy to donate everything, like our cash as well, and everything, because then it feels like we're being exploited. So we had to. That was really difficult to ask for money from the people who were using the bikes. It was really difficult. And now we're getting a little bit better with it, because we realize, hey, people are still getting a great deal here. And if we want to see the project live, we have to be a little bit more. We could get fundraising from other sources, but we think it should come directly from the users, because that's a way of contributing. So this was really difficult for me, because personally, because I thought, oh, it's great to not have money in the system at all. But now I realize the money is like a bit of oil, and it's like oil. It needs to be on the chain. A little bit is good, too much is bad, and none makes the machine stop. So that's the other thing. And then the other thing people always say is, "Oh, don't your bikes go missing?" And that has been a bit of a problem. So what we do is we give the bikes to our bike surfers, and we say, hey, please bring it back and lock it safely. People's definition of how to lock bikes safely is wide ranging. So actually we've had about 4,500 people, maybe 4,000, let's be a bit more conservative, use the bikes in Berlin. And only 2 people we suspect very strongly as having actually stolen the bike themselves. So a tiny percentage. But people have locked them inappropriately in inappropriate places in Berlin, and Berlin is getting a reputation, well deserved, for bikes being stolen here, bike theft. So what happened is people have locked it somewhere and returned to it maybe 3 days later, and they've gone, oh, mamma mia, the bikes aren't here. So, and we always take them on their word, and we make police reports and things like that. But it's such a shame that basically this happens, and sometimes sometimes it's not due to the fault of the bike surfer. It's just like bad luck, in wrong place, wrong time. And this is really, really annoying, because we've lost them really, because as I said, our bikes are personal. I've invested sometimes tens to maybe 100 hours into these bikes, into some of these bikes, just keeping them. And some of them have been with us for many years. And so it's a real shame to see when we have to put it into the RIP category, because it's another problem that we have. That when we're investing our hearts and souls into it, that some bikes are going missing, and they bring the stories go away as well. So that's hard. So I think maybe in the last 10 years we've lost, I want to say, nearly 40 bikes.
Okay.
So if not more. And so this is hard to deal with, and it's like a kick in the face every time it happens.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So, dear listeners, if you're listening to this podcast and think about using a bike from BikeSurf, please lock it in a proper way.
We now have 2. Now, on most of our bikes, we now have 2 really heavy-duty combination locks. Okay. So this problem is going away, and this is also something. It's going away, but we have to be we have to keep on. When we see a problem, we have to react to it, and we have to find a solution. So this is also really interesting voyage for me, because to ask other people's opinions, and then is 2 we have to buy more locks. So, and it's going to be annoying for the users and stuff like that, but it's going to keep our bikes safe. So this is just an example of that.
I see. And now we talked a bit about the difficulties, but what were the highlights in the project, or maybe are there highlights yet to come?
I think getting recognition from media is actually something. It's not that I want to be the face of BikeSurf or anything like that, but I want the idea to spread to other cities. And I know we don't have enough funds or maybe promotional material in order to, like, I don't know, become a social media presence. So we do ask other media to promote us as as a space in Berlin, but also maybe encourage other people to start their own bike surf in their own city, because that's the biggest compliment we can get. Is not people using our bikes here in Berlin and saying we're cool, although that helps, but actually starting a project, putting their own time and resources into a project elsewhere. And for that, we need media, traditional media, new media, whatever. We need them to promote this idea so that it can kind of become viral or become a meme around the world. Because if you can couch surf around the world, or if you can get a free place to kind of crash and whatever, then what the next stage is, how do you get around that place? So this is the next level, I think, upon that. In Northern Europe and in Northern America, we do have an excess of bikes. We just need to use this sharing economy model more and distribute them, have developed the system to distribute them more. So yes, so this is my first thing is I love that we get coverage from CNN, from China News, from Brazil TV. So because we wouldn't be able to have an influence in those places usually. Yeah. And it gives me a bit of a buzz when that happens. Also, we've been invited to music festivals and maker fairs. So like it seems like different people take different things from the project. So in the music festival, they were saying, yeah, you're a cool grassroots project. Cool. We want you to represent yourself at this Lollapalooza, for example. And we're going, cool. How many tickets do we get? And so so that's good for the team building. And then at a maker fair, for example, we're building things. We're building bikes from the scrap and stuff like that. So we can go there. And then to be recognized also Europe, they sent us to Strasbourg to present in the Palace of Europe. So this recognition is kind of cool and also allows the team to come together. And they've been some of the highlights, but also the small things, I think, of we try and repair bikes together. So we try and develop I think just the team, when the team comes together, it's really good. Because I can teach maybe some bicycle skills, we can have a chat, we can have a laugh, we can discuss maybe themes about bike surfing, and that's great. This team feeling is good. And then also when, as I said, maybe it's what I said before, the biggest compliment we can get is also when people start a bike surf in some random other city and just ask us for help, just go, how exactly do you do this? Can we use your platform? And I go, yes, I can help you in any way. This is what works in Berlin. You can use this idea. You cannot use this idea. So we try and support without other cities growing, but it's still allowing them to be very independent.
That's really nice. And we had many projects in our podcast, which started small, I think, and then came big as your project. And it's so nice because I think you can kind of easily, well, maybe not that easily, but it's a project also, what you said, you can do in your own city if you like to, if you have time, if you have some people around that are passionate also about this. So I think it's really inspiring also to start some own initiative.
Just what you need to start another city is one bicycle, and you can do it alone. It's good to do it with friends, but you can do it alone. Just start it with one bike and see if it works. And sometimes it depends on the city. Sometimes it might snowball into like becoming a really big project, or sometimes it might only drift along with a few bikes. The idea, what I like to say is I'd rather have 100 cities with one bike than crazy Berlin with 100 bikes. Because then there's no sense of network. There's no sense, this will work elsewhere. People always say, it's so easy to do this in Berlin. It's still not. It's still a lot of work. Some of the ideas do come from Berlin, but it's still a lot of people who are pushing like social projects here. And I encourage everybody, if they have a spare bike at home, to just contact us and to just go, hey, I've got a spare bike. It's being used maybe for once. A lot of people say, oh, my bike is being used only as a guest bike, just 1 week a year. And I go, what about the other 51? And that's where a project can kind of come in. Hey, just provide that for everybody to see, be visible, and maybe come in contact with that person for 10 minutes. That was another highlight. Coming in contact with the people, because I get so many invites and so many kind of lovely, warm praise when I meet people who are using the bike. It's like, oh my God, this is an amazing project, blah, blah, blah. And that makes it easy to go. But yeah, so to come in, if you provide the bike, it can be like a 10-minute conversation, but you really kind of put a smile on that person's face for the whole week.
That's amazing. I think that's a very nice closing word before we come to our final question, which is, as always, what is your wish for a new Europe?
Oh, my wish for a new Europe is one that is heavily focused on sharing economy. I feel that this sharing economy model we're doing it with bikes, but you can do it with anything. As I said, we have an excess of many things in Berlin, and not just in Berlin, but in Europe. And we just have to find how to share them. And the reason for me to say this is that we're in living in a world where it's somewhat inequitable. People don't have equal chances, but I think that the basic needs of people should be met without people having to struggle for money. And so one of the things that we can do is develop these systems so that everybody has access to Maslow's basic needs. So like somewhere to sleep, food, adequate a chance to get around. And when everybody has access to these things and has a sense and develops a community using these things instead of dividing people apart, I think this would be a future I am aiming for. Because at the moment, I feel that Europe is maybe going down a very capitalist kind of part. And I'm not anti-capitalist, but I'm very much post-capitalist. And a post-capitalist world where people are not desperate to earn money in order to just basically try and survive, rather than a sense of community where people use the things to bring people together. For me, it makes far more sense to have this idea where things bring people together. That makes more sense to me, and that's what's been transformative in my life.
Yeah, and I think with your project and other bike surfers in other cities, this wish will definitely come true at some time.
Yeah,
it's a good way.
And if bikes aren't your thing, you can use our code, or if you want, you can develop another booking system for another thing, whatever it is, skis.
True.
But cameras, I don't know, whatever. My thing is bikes, but there's other things that we have an excess of that people don't use all the time, but people will want an access to. So developing a library of things, but we don't have to wait for a government to do it. We can do that actually as citizens.
Yeah, that's very true. Oh, there are some nice ideas now in my head. I think. And I wish also maybe in the heads of our dear listeners, I do thank you for listening. And I do thank you, Graham, for your time and having this very nice conversation and about this great project. I will definitely put all the links in our show notes, as usual, the website of bikesurf.org and your social media. And I also don't forget to check out the social media of the podcast, right? And then we will hear us in 2 weeks. Until then, bye-bye.